Yeah, this is working. So basically, a farmer needs to take decisions in three main categories. That would be irrigation management, fertilizer management, and crop protection. Crop protection, pesticides, naturally above the ground, as Taranis just showed us. You've got to come from above the ground to see the pesticides, so satellite imageries, UAVs, drones, and so forth. But for fertilizer management, for irrigation, you can't come from above, because if you're going to come from above, you're always going to be too late. A plant, for example, that's not receiving enough fertilizer, going to suck up everything it can from the root zone and from the stem. By the time you see something above the ground, 2 weeks would have passed, and it's just too late. So you've got to come from within the soil, and that's what CropX is trying to do, to be the #1 company that collects all of the data points from within the soil and provides action items based on those data and insights to help farmers, especially in the cases of irrigation and fertilizer application. So in order to do that, we first we tried to buy some soil sensors in order to collect this data, and nothing worked. So it turned out that in order to do that, if you want to collect a lot of data from the ground, you got to be able to scale. You got to be able to scale in order to get a lot of data. Naturally you want the data to be accurate, because if it's a big data play, garbage in, garbage out. So we ended up developing our own soil sensors. So CropX today has a soil sensor that is the only do-it-yourself soil sensor in the world, installed by the farmer in just 5 minutes. Compare that to John Deere. John Deere, for example, has a moisture sensor. It takes about half a day to install. It's a slurry installation. You need to do it by a John Deere technician, so you book an appointment in advance. And by the way, it costs about $50 per acre. Hortau, another example, Canadian company, costs about $85 per acre, when an average corn grower in the United States makes about $100 per acre profit per year. So he's not going to buy a John Deere or a Hortau. CropX, by the way, comes today at less than 10 and counting down. So scalability is do-it-yourself. Scalability is price point. Scalability also means connectivity, because everybody here knows that agriculture is probably the most harsh environment for IoT devices. Just getting the data out of the field is very hard, and CropX is really spearheading that. We have, for example, the first in situ soil sensor that transmits through satellite, and many other technologies as well. And accuracy. CropX was able to solve many inherent issues, such as preferential flow. You take something, you put it in the ground, you have water that flows alongside that device. So essentially, really skewing the results. Our sensors were able to overcome that issue. So we started selling about 2 years ago, 2017, originally about 700 deployments in the United States. In 2018, we tripled that. Crop agnostic, we have commodity crops, corn, potatoes, soybeans, alfalfa. We have high-value crops. We have permanent crops. We even have cows, and I might even have time to describe how I call that a crop. In terms of the system, so essentially we've developed the first do-it-yourself farm management system, from sensing to full automation. So we have all of the data points coming into the system. We have satellite, we have weather, we have USDA data, we have our own sensor data, we have topography, and now we have the AI on top of that, doing all of the computations, finding correlations, and essentially being able to help the farmers manage their irrigation, manage their fertilizer application, and we connected all the way through automation to automation, so we can control drip, SDI, pivot, any valve whatsoever. Just about to also connect to fertilizer pumps as well. These are just a few machine learning based examples. I see I have 2 minutes and 55 seconds, so I'll just take this one here, for example. This is the pivot that we controlled in the United States, a true experiment that we did for an entire year. This is an alfalfa grower. We split this into 20 slices, and so our system automatically controlled the slice, and the farmer controlled the slice. And we control the slice, the farmer controlled the slice, essentially A/B testing for farming. At the end of this year, we weighed the results, and it was astonishing. CropX's system automatically was able to save 40% of the water and increase yield by 10%. By the way, something similar that we did here in sweet potato in the Volcani Research Institute, we were able to increase the value of the yield by 12.5%. So very good results so far. A lot of use cases. So we started in 2017, mostly about irrigation, but it was so exciting to see that we had so many users that were using our system for so many additional use cases as well. So take, for example, energy saving. A pivot turns around just one circle. That takes about a day, costs about $500 of electricity just to turn that around one circle. So we have farmers that put CropX in the ground. They look at the app, they say, well, hey, you know, I can stop the pivot. Stop the pivot for one day. You already paid for the system a year in advance. And we had farmers that stopped the pivot for 10 days in a season. That's 10x ROI just there. Very, very significant. And another example, crop-based use cases. So potato growers. Potatoes are sensitive to over-irrigation. You over-irrigate them, they rot. So we had all of our potato growers are using CropX in order to avoid reaching that point. All of these are customers. We sell B2B or B2B2C. So ICL, for example, a fertilizer company, uses CropX in order to manage their fertilizer better. Essentially, we can help them with many different aspects of their business. Indigo, seeding company. If you're a seeding company, you need to know exactly what happens in each one of your plots, your breeding plots, in order to understand why each and every breed they behave differently. Landmark, great example. We started speaking with them about a half a year ago. The second largest ag retailer in Australia already received now a very, very significant purchase order into 2019. We have a team. You'll have to believe me. We also have very strong backers. We're very fortunate in that respect. So there are a lot of names here, but the leading investors are Innovation Endeavors. Eric Schmidt, Google's former chairman's fund, invested in CropX because of the AI, the big data vision. Finisterre Ventures, probably the best ag tech VC in the United States. OurCrowd, of course, and Green Soil, like the Israeli Finisterre. Yes, I know, 3 seconds. So let's talk about cows, okay? I'm the last one, right? So just this is anecdotal, but this is kind of cute. So the reason that the Ireland Ag Tech Fund southern one at the bottom. So it turns out that Ireland has a huge dairy industry because they have a lot of grass, rain, rain 11 months a year. So you get a lot of grass, and then it's very easy to grow cows. So now you end up with a dairy industry that's booming and that's grown about by 50% in the past 5 years. But now we have a new issue that's called cow manure. Okay. Now, cow manure is running off and leaching and really hurting the environment and polluting. And they've reached a point where about 30% of the water is negatively affected. So what we're trying to do there is to show them that only a system as CropX can really be deployed in scale, in national scale, and can sense both water and salinity at the same point, can really answer basic questions such as where to put the cow or where not to put the cow. Or, for example, they accumulate all of the cow manure during the winter in these huge silos, and then they just spray that all over. So, for example, we can sense with our sensing technology when that slurry bypasses the sensor, and at that point, there are no more roots that can extract the nitrogen from the ground, so it just leaches and gets into the water stream. So we started a very interesting experiment with UCD, University College of Dublin, and in order to promote that, the Ireland Ag Tech Fund made its first investment ever outside of Ireland in CropX, an Israeli company. So we really hope to execute on that. And that's about it. Thank you.